carrying the cross. There is a wheel on it, so it's not quite so heavy as it might have been 2,000 years ago, right?
And it's hollow.
We do not have a parade permit, so we need to follow traffic laws. Our stops, we have 7 stops. We start here, and then we'll stop at St. Paul's Episcopal Cathedral, and then we'll stop at ALC Mason. The next stop is Coles Commons, and we can just be on the western side of Coles Commons there. You don't have to go all the way over to the Umbrella. Then over to the courthouse, back to St. Ambrose, then to St. John's Lutheran, and then back over to this CenturyLink Park. So the park right across the street here, catty corner. So thank you again for coming. I will not be on most of the walk this year. This will be the first year in 14 years that I haven't been on the walk. So, but thank you again for coming. Thank you to everyone who is going to be presenting. I was going to say, one other thing. The annual Way of the Cross has been kind of sponsored by The Bridge, which is 4 downtown churches: St. Paul's, St. Ambrose, First United Methodist, and St. John's. So we're 4 of our stops. And we do a program called the Connection Cafe, which is a lunch program for the homeless and low income. And I'm the coordinator for that. So Ro back here in the back has the program. So if you need a program or if you see somebody join, Ro has extra programs. You can get them for her. And then if someone would volunteer to carry the megaphone too, that would be great. So we're going to start out, and Christine Anders and Pastor Eric Guy will lead our first 2 stations.
Whatever you want to do.
Our first scripture this afternoon is Luke 22, verses 39 through 46. Jesus left and made his way to the Mount of Olives, as was his custom, and the disciples followed him. When he arrived, he said to them, "Pray that you won't give in to temptation." He withdrew from them about a stone's throw. He knelt down and he prayed. He said, "Father, if it's your will, take this cup of suffering away from me. However, not my will, but your will must be done." Then a heavenly angel appeared to him and strengthened him. He was in anguish, and he prayed even more earnestly. His sweat became like drops of blood falling on the ground. When he got up from praying, he went to the disciples. He found them asleep, overcome by grief. And he said to them, "Why are you sleeping? Get up and pray, so that you won't give in to temptation." The SALT project is a theologically progressive project committed to creating beautiful and theologically interesting church media. That's from their website. The website tagline that I like even better says, "At SALT, we tell stories that matter." SALT Project has recently begun an online posting called the Theologian's Almanac, a weekly selection of important holidays, birthdays, and other upcoming milestones worth marking. The posting for this week included this milestone worth marking. April 19th is the anniversary of the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing.
Oh, that's right.
The deadliest act of domestic terrorism in the United States. Timothy McVeigh's motive was revenge against the government for the raid exactly 2 years earlier of the compound near Waco, Texas, occupied by armed extremist Christian sect led by David Koresh. The connection between those 2 events, Theologian's Almanac suggests, and their origin in a distorted, abusive, and violent form of Christianity is worth remembering this year, as April 19th, today, is Good Friday. I remember where I was that day. I had called Mildred, the church organist, to give her the hymns for Sunday. Her husband, Burl, answered the phone. He was used to taking down the numbers and passing them along. And before I could even give him the hymns, he said, "Are you watching the news? You should turn it on. Something awful has happened in Oklahoma City." It seemed like a more peaceful time before then. maybe just a more naive time before Oklahoma City and Columbine, which of course is 20th anniversary is tomorrow, and Sandy Hook and the Temple of Life in Charlottesville, and the list goes on and on. In Luke's Gospel, in Luke's Gospel, Luke says that Jesus was in anguish in the garden. And I wonder if maybe he was in anguish because he felt like so little had been done or so much was left to be done, so little accomplished. Luke says Jesus sweat blood, maybe because he felt his life had made such a small difference. The kingdom had not yet come, God's will not yet done, so much left to do. When he returned to the disciples, he found them sleeping. Luke says they were overcome by grief. Grief, perhaps, that this one and this way that they had followed hadn't brought everything to completion. So much yet left to do that it really mattered. We may feel like that sometimes too. In our times of difficulty and frustration, we may echo that prayer of Jesus, let this cup pass away. If there's another way, show it to us. If there is a quicker way, a faster way. But Jesus had also prayed, not my will, but yours. And when he had found the disciples asleep, he had said to them, get up and pray. And I would guess also, maybe added, get back to work. So may that be our prayer this year as well, to have the strength, the courage, patience, and the confidence to stay on the journey.
And from Matthew 26:45 to 49. Then he came to the disciples and said to them, are you still sleeping and taking your rest? See, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Get up, let us be going. See, my betrayer is at hand. While he was still speaking, Judas, one of the 12, arrived. With him was a large crowd with swords and clubs, from the chief priests and the elders of the people. Now the betrayer had given them a sign saying, the one I will kiss is the man. Arrest him. At once he came up to Jesus and said, greetings, Rabbi, and kissed him. See, my betrayer is at hand. Some of us standing here today know how it feels to be betrayed. How it feels to have someone go from having our back to stabbing us in the back. We can only be betrayed by a friend or a loved one. Because in order to betray another, one first must secure their trust and loyalty. An enemy can attack you. Your competition may deceive you. A foe may plan for your destruction. But betrayal is a grievous act committed by one who has pledged their support to you. Rejection may cause a wound, but betrayal pours salt in the wound to make it sting. Failure may knock you off your feet, but betrayal kicks you while you're down. Criticism and insult hurt your pride, but betrayal breaks your heart. Judas, a disciple and a member of the inner circle, betrayed Jesus with a kiss. But my question for us today is, how do we, as followers of Jesus, betray him? As Christians, we have pledged our love and support and loyalty to Jesus. But often by our actions, we betray him. We betray Jesus when we fail to see his face in those we call the other. We betray Jesus when we neglect the cry of the needy among us. We betray Jesus to speak out about injustice wherever we see it. We betray Jesus when we fail to see how our actions affect others. And we betray Jesus when we decide we just don't care. So I want us to take a moment to examine our own lives, to bow your head and close your eyes and ask yourself, how have I betrayed Jesus? Lord, forgive us.